What kind of person screams at a teenager singing on a street corner, her voice trembling with passion, only to unravel a truth that shatters their own arrogance? The city hummed with its usual chaos, horns blaring, footsteps pounding, vendors shouting over the din. In the heart of it, on a cracked sidewalk by a flickering street lamp, stood Lily, a slight 16-year-old with a guitar slung across her chest. Her voice, raw and soulful, cut through the urban clamor, drawing a small crowd. She sang of hope, of struggle, her fingers dancing over the strings. A cardboard sign at her feet scrawled with words, "For Mia's surgery, cerebral palsy." Coins and crumpled bills filled a tin can beside her. Lily's eyes sparkled with determination, each note a plea for her best friend, bedridden and fighting for a chance at mobility. The crowd swayed, some dropping dollars, others wiping tears. It was a fleeting moment of human connection in a city that rarely paused. Then came Karen. Her shadow loomed before her voice did, a bellowing roar that sliced through Lily's melody like a knife. "Stop that racket! You're disturbing everyone." Karen, heavy-set, her face twisted in a scowl, stormed toward the girl, her designer purse swinging like a weapon. The crowd parted, stunned. Lily's fingers froze on the strings, her voice faltering. Karen's tirade escalated, her words venomous, accusing Lily of faking, of scamming, of ruining the evening with her pathetic noise. The teenager's cheeks flushed, but she stood her ground, clutching her guitar like a shield. "I'm raising money for my friend," Lily said, voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. "She needs surgery." Karen scoffed, her laugh sharp and cruel. "Likely story. Get a job, kid, instead of begging." The crowd murmured, some nodding with Karen, others shifting uncomfortably. Lily's eyes glistened, but she didn't back down. Karen's outburst wasn't just noisy, it was a performance, a power trip. She thrived on control, on bending others to her will. She'd done this before, berating baristas, yelling at cashiers, demanding the world bow to her whims. Today, Lily was her target, a girl who dared to exist loudly in public. Karen's voice grew louder, drawing more eyes, more whispers. She pointed at the sign, sneering. "Cerebral palsy? You think I'm stupid? You're probably keeping the money for yourself." The accusation landed like a slap. Lily's lip quivered, but she squared her shoulders. "It's for Mia," she repeated, softer now, as if willing Karen to understand. The crowd was split. Some believed Karen's skepticism. Others saw the truth in Lily's eyes. A man in a worn jacket tossed $1 into the can, glaring at Karen. She ignored him, stepping closer to Lily, her presence suffocating. Then came the twist, subtle but searing. An elderly woman, frail and leaning on a cane, pushed through the crowd. Her name was Mrs. Carter, a retired nurse who lived 2 blocks away. She'd known Mia since she was a toddler, had seen her struggle with cerebral palsy, her body betraying her while her spirit soared. Mrs. Carter's voice, though soft, carried weight. "That girl's telling the truth," she said, her eyes locked on Karen. "Mia's real. I've seen her fight every day." The crowd stilled. Karen faltered, her bluster deflating for a split second before she doubled down. "You're in on it too, huh? All of you, scamming honest people." But the tide was turning. Mrs. Carter's words planted doubt, and eyes shifted from Karen to Lily, who stood taller now, her guitar a quiet testament to her cause. The confrontation teetered on a knife's edge. Karen, sensing her grip slipping, leaned in, her voice a hiss. "You're done here, kid. Pack up or I'm calling the cops." Lily's heart pounded. She couldn't afford trouble, not with Mia counting on her. But she thought of her friend, of the hospital bills piling up, of the surgery that could change everything. She strummed a single chord, defiant, and began to sing again, her voice cracking but resolute. The crowd gasped, some cheering, others filming on their phones. Karen's face reddened, her hands balling into fists. This wasn't just a challenge, it was rebellion. She pulled out her phone, dialing with exaggerated flourish, as if the act itself proved her right. "You'll regret this," she spat. Lily kept singing, her voice rising, a beacon in the gathering dusk. The street pulsed with tension, the air thick with anticipation. Lily's voice, though shaky, grew stronger, each note a defiance of Karen's venom. The crowd swelled, drawn by the drama unfolding under the flickering street lamp. Karen stood, phone pressed to her ear, her voice shrill as she demanded police intervention. "There's a kid causing a disturbance," she barked, pacing like a predator. Lily sang on, her eyes fixed on the horizon, as if Mia's face floated there, urging her to keep going. The tin can at her feet jingled with new coins, a quiet vote of support from strangers. Mrs. Carter, the elderly nurse, lingered nearby, her presence a steady anchor. Karen shot her a venomous glance, but Mrs. Carter didn't flinch, her weathered face a map of resolve. The truth began to unravel, sharp and undeniable. A young man, barely 20, pushed forward, his phone screen glowing with a photo. "This is Mia," he said, holding it up for the crowd. It showed a girl in a wheelchair, her smile radiant despite the tubes and monitors around her. "She's real. Lily's been at the hospital every day." His name was Jake, Mia's cousin, who'd just arrived after hearing about the commotion. The crowd murmured, phones raised to capture the image. Karen's eyes darted to the screen, and for a moment, her certainty cracked. But she was too deep in her rage to retreat. "Photoshop," she snapped, waving a dismissive hand. "You kids are all the same liars." Jake's jaw tightened, but he didn't argue. He didn't need to. The crowd was shifting, their sympathy coalescing around Lily. Then came the twist's second ripple, a gut punch of emotion. A woman in a nurse's uniform, still in her scrubs from a long shift, stepped forward. She'd been watching from the edge, drawn by Lily's voice. "I work at St. Mary's," she said, her voice calm but firm. "Mia's one of our patients. I've seen Lily there, bringing her guitar to cheer her up." The nurse's words landed like a thunderclap. Karen's phone slipped slightly in her hand, her bravado faltering. The crowd's murmurs grew louder, a chorus of disapproval. A teenager in the back shouted, "Leave her alone!" Karen's face twisted, caught between defiance and doubt. She wasn't used to losing, not like this, not in front of an audience turning against her. The standoff erupted into chaos. Karen, sensing her control slipping, lunged toward Lily's tin can, kicking it over in a fit of rage. Coins scattered across the pavement, glinting in the streetlight. The crowd gasped, some rushing to help Lily gather the money, others shouting at Karen. Lily's song faltered, her eyes wide with shock, but she didn't cry. She knelt, scooping up the coins, her hands trembling but resolute. Jake and Mrs. Carter joined her, their quiet solidarity a stark contrast to Karen's fury. "You're disgusting," Karen yelled, her voice hoarse now, but the crowd wasn't listening. They were with Lily, their hands outstretched, returning crumpled bills and quarters. Karen's call to the police was still connected, but her words were drowned out by the crowd's rising anger. A siren wailed in the distance, cutting through the noise. Karen smirked, thinking she'd won. 2 officers arrived, stepping out of their patrol car with measured calm. The crowd parted, and Lily stood, clutching her guitar, her sign now smudged but legible. Karen launched into her story, painting Lily as a delinquent, a scammer, a nuisance. But the officers weren't swayed. They listened as Jake explained, as Mrs. Carter vouched for Lily, as the nurse corroborated Mia's condition. The second officer, a woman with a no-nonsense demeanor, turned to Karen. "Ma'am, you need to calm down. We're going to verify this." Karen's face flushed, her confidence crumbling. The crowd watched, phones still recording, as the officers approached Lily, their expressions softening. "Tell us about your friend," the female officer said. Lily's voice was steady now, recounting Mia's struggle, the surgery, the hope. The officers nodded, their skepticism aimed not at her, but at Karen. The street was a stage, and Karen's performance was unraveling. The officers' questions grew sharper, their eyes narrowing as Karen stammered, her accusations crumbling under scrutiny. Lily stood quietly, her guitar still in hand, the scattered coins now gathered back into the tin can, thanks to the crowd's help. The female officer, Sergeant Lopez, knelt beside Lily, reading the sign about Mia's surgery. "You got proof of this fundraiser?" she asked, not unkindly. Lily nodded, pulling out a crumpled flyer from her pocket. detailing Mia's condition and the hospital's crowdfunding page. Jake showed his phone again, the photo of Mia now joined by a screenshot of the fundraiser's website, already at $3,000. The crowd leaned in, their support palpable. A collective breath held as the truth solidified. Karen's collapse was swift and public. Sergeant Lopez turned to her, voice firm. "Ma'am, you've caused a disturbance and damaged this girl's property." She gestured to the tin can, still dented from Karen's kick. "That's vandalism. You want to explain yourself." Karen's mouth opened, then closed, her bravado gone. The crowd's phones were still rolling, capturing every moment of her humiliation. She muttered something about misunderstanding, but the officers weren't buying it. The second officer, a burly man named Officer Grant, took a statement from Mrs. Carter, who recounted Karen's tirade with unflinching detail. The nurse added her testimony, her voice steady as she described Lily's visits to Mia. Karen's face paled, her hands shaking as she realized the legal weight of her actions. "You're not pressing charges, are you?" she whispered, her arrogance replaced by panic. Sergeant Lopez raised an eyebrow. "That's up to her," she said, nodding toward Lily. Lily hesitated, her eyes scanning the crowd, then landing on Karen. She saw not just a bully, but a woman trapped in her own misery, lashing out to feel powerful. "I just want to help Mia," Lily said softly. "I don't want trouble." The crowd murmured in awe, some clapping, others wiping tears. Karen's shoulders slumped, her defeat complete. The officers issued her a warning for disorderly conduct and vandalism, noting that any further complaints could escalate to charges. Karen nodded mutely, her designer purse now a hollow prop as she slunk away, the crowd parting to let her pass, their silence louder than any jeer. The aftermath was a quiet triumph. The crowd lingered, dropping more money into Lily's tin can, some handing her 20s, others sharing the fundraiser link on their phones. Jake hugged Lily, whispering, "Mia's gonna be so proud." Mrs. Carter patted her shoulder, her eyes crinkling with pride. The nurse offered to connect Lily with a hospital social worker to boost the fundraiser. Sergeant Lopez handed Lily her card, saying, "You need anything, you call me." The street lamp flickered, casting a warm glow over the scene, as Lily picked up her guitar again. Her voice, stronger now, filled the air, not just with song but with purpose. The crowd stayed, some singing along, others swaying, a community forged in the wake of conflict. Lily's story spread, not just through the videos posted online, but through the hearts of those who'd witnessed it. The fundraiser soared past its goal within days, enough to cover Mia's surgery and therapy. Karen's outburst, meant to silence, had amplified Lily's cause, turning a moment of cruelty into a movement of compassion. Lily visited Mia in the hospital, guitar in tow, singing the same song she'd sung on the street. Mia, weak but smiling, squeezed her hand, whispering, "You did it." And in that moment, Lily knew. No scream, no rage, could drown out the power of a voice raised for love. The city kept moving, but on that corner, under that street lamp, something Chong-ita reminder that even in the ugliest moments, humanity could sing louder.